Hi there, welcome to part 2 for these headphone ear covers or headphone ear pads, the replacement ones that we're making. These are bigger than the last ones that we made. The ones we made before in part 1, of course, were for the smaller headphones, and you could make these bigger, like I said in the first video. Do you like those?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
They're really soft.
I'm glad. I'll show you how to work this one. So last time I used this dark blue, and I found that my camera wasn't wanting to focus. So I'm going to try this one, which is a variegated red, green, and white. I'm hoping that my camera will focus better, but we'll see. So of course we're going to start with a Slipknot. This is how I make mine. You might make yours differently. Okay, remember that you don't want this super tight. I'm going to work with a medium tension. I don't want it super tight because then it's hard to work back through the stitches. And I don't want it real loose because I don't want it sloppy. I want it to be a good fit, but I don't want it to be too loose. And of course I don't want it to be too tight. And we're going to chain 3. 1, whoops, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 9 half double crochets into the last chain from the hook. So these 2 chains here will count for our first half double. So that's why we're only working 9. With the single crochets we work 10. So if you're working, you can use a magic ring or a magic circle, whichever you call it, and then you would put 10 half double crochets into the ring. But since we're already starting with a chain 2 here, we're going to work 9 into this very first chain. So we're going to yarn over and insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, and then we have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Great. Now what I'd like to go ahead and do is pull that tail so that it closes up the hole here a little bit. And you can do that a little bit better later in the end. But we're going to join right here to the top of that chain 2 that we had with a slip stitch. So just insert your hook right through there, grab that yarn and pull it through and through. Okay, now we're joined. That's our first round. For round 2, we're going to chain 2, which counts as our first half double crochet, and we're going to work 2 half double crochets into each stitch around. If you're using a stitch marker, now's the time to insert it, so that I would just put that in there, wrap it around the stitch, the chain that I've already made, and then I'm going to work my half double crochet right into there. Okay, so there's my first 2. This is going to be 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, whoops, and 20. So what's left to do is to join to the top of this chain 2 that we had in the beginning with a slip stitch. So we're just going to yarn over and pull through and through. Now you can remove your stitch marker, and you might find really that you don't need it. For round 3, we're going to work into the back loops only. And if you're not sure what the back loops are, I will show you. The back loops, and I'm having a problem with focus again. On the top here of every stitch, you've got these 2 yarn strands. Okay. And they kind of go in a V. Some people say they look like a braid, but you're just going to take the back one. So usually you would go in underneath both. We're not going to do that. We're going to work into the back loop only, so we're only going to go under this back one. So that's what I mean by working the back loops only, if you weren't sure. I'm going to chain 1, and at this point we're going to single crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work in each stitch around just in the back loop. And you might want to keep your tension a little bit tighter on this round because it tends to make it a little loose because you're not grabbing that whole thing. It might get a little bit sloppy if you don't keep it in a fairly tight way. So you might want to increase your tension a little bit. Okay, and obviously if you wanted to insert a stitch marker, you can, or you can just count. Just 1 in each stitch around. And this would be really a neat way too to do a themed headphone ear pad. I don't know, anything that you celebrate, I guess. You could do whatever the colors are of it on your headphones. That would be pretty festive. Alright. So we're going to make it around, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch. Just like that. So you can see that we worked the back loops only because it makes this little ridge, and I think that's really cute. You might not like it. If you don't like the ridge on it, you can of course stick with the first pattern that I gave you. I just personally happen to like it. For the next round, we're going to chain 1. We're going to work a single crochet into the next stitch. Then we're going to work a single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to repeat that. So until we get all the way around. So I'm going to insert my stitch marker here. I'm going to work a single crochet into the next stitch. I'll see if my camera will focus. Hopefully it will if I zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go right into there. The next thing I need to do is work a single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook and yarn over, pull that through, now I have 2 loops. I'm going to go in the next stitch and do the same thing, and now I have these 3 loops, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all those 3. So now I've just worked a single crochet decrease. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is work another single crochet into this stitch, and then I'm going to work another decrease over the next 2 stitches. Okay, we're going to keep repeating that until we get all the way back around, and then we're going to join it with a slip stitch. So you're going to repeat by doing the 1 single crochet and then the decrease. It's time to join. Just going to join that with a simple slip stitch. Just like that. Remove your stitch marker. Okay, this is the last step. Okay, so we've decreased to 13 single crochets. The last step is, of course, to chain 1, clip that tail, whoops, pull that through, give it a tug. Now it's time to weave in the ends. When I end off and start to weave in, I like the tail to lay across that final loop to really tack it down, because if I go back this way, it's going to make an ugly bump right there. So I want to go this way. And what I usually do, you might do it differently, it really doesn't matter. I like to go down into that stitch that's next door to it, and then start weaving in. Okay, so I'm going to weave mine, and you can weave yours. Just gently go between those stitches. You go one way a little while, and then you're going to turn around and go back the other way. And this is completely up to you how much you weave in and how much you don't. I figure I want to weave in a decent amount of tail because I know that these are going to get washed. So just clip that off when you're done. And then we're going to do the middle. And the way I always do the middle doesn't have to be the way that you do the middle, but I'll show you how I do it. And if you watch the last video, the part 1 of this project, you will know already how I do the middle. But I just kind of cinch that up, and then I'm going to work around the center. Weave in around that center because I feel like it'll keep it from separating later, especially in the wash. If you're going to wash these, obviously check your yarn label and make sure that it's machine washable. But then also you might want to get a garment bag and place them in a garment bag just to be sure that they don't get torn up by buttons or zippers or things like that. Alright, so I think that's probably good enough for me. Clip that tail. And now we're going to turn the wrong side in and the right side out. So this is the large one, and I'm going to show you how I put it on. In the part 1 video, I told you there are 3 ways to make it tighter around the edge here. The first thing, or to make it fit better, and the first thing is, there's this lip here. Slip it on, just try it on for size, and if it fits pretty well and it's fairly snug, that's great. The more you wear it, the more it's probably going to loosen up a little bit. So you could, number 1, increase your tension. Number 2, you could increase your rounds, and as you do that, you would work another row of decrease so that it would cinch it up a little bit tighter around the edge here. Or the third thing that you can do is take a length of yarn and weave it through this final row and then leave enough excess to tie, and then you could just cinch it up as tight as you need it and tie it, and then just untie it and take it off when you need to wash it. So those are really the 3 ways that you can make it work a little bit better for you if they don't fit as nicely on yours somehow as they do on mine. Mine has a generous gap right here, and that makes it really nice for these larger headphone ear pads that I made, because they just slip right around back there and you can kind of even tuck them in. But like I said, they will kind of stretch out over time. Unless you do a really extremely tight tension, they're going to have a lot of give, and so then the more you wear them, the more floppy they'll get. And of course they'll tighten up after you wash them, but you know, if you want to make sure that they're tight all the time, those are the ways that I would go about doing that. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope that it's something that you'll have fun personalizing, because I think it just can be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to make new patterns, and like I said, this pattern was born out of necessity, and so many times there are things around our home that we see that need to be repaired, or we need a new thing, and it's just really nice to be able to take out your yarn and make something that's useful and helpful to people. My kids rave about these. They say that they're really soft and comfortable. I enjoy them. They enjoy them. So it's really just a win-win in our house, and I hope it is in yours too. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget you can find the free pattern on the free patterns tab on the blueberrybead.com. Bye.